Welcome back. If you have listened to the first episode of Beyond the Black Veil, this is episode number 2. So we are keeping this thing rolling. I have some more stories for you tonight. Just today, it's been a day. Work. I still work for my coins. So I just have some stuff that I've been doing. And have you ever worked on something that you're excited to work on it, which I know those words probably shouldn't exist in the same sentence, but you're excited to work on it, but it's just so tedious. And so your eyes start crossing. That's where my day has been today. So I am actually very excited to read some stories to you all today, because I've actually been looking forward to this just as my little treat for just really doing the hard work. You got to get in there. You got to do the thing. All right. Kick some tail. So I have 3 stories for you today. Maybe I might read some of the comments of the other thread that are just shorter versions of the story. I'll see what we do with time if I decide to do that. But you'll get at least 3 from me today. 2 that are a little creepy on the paranormal side, and 1 is more of not quite true crime, but it's real. I'm side-eyeing. It's still unsettling, I guess is the word I could use for it. So I'm not gonna do a whole bunch of rambling. I'm incredibly awkward. I'm gonna say something stupid if I keep talking. So I'm going to go ahead and read this story. The first one is under the title of basically what creepy encounter has happened to you that no one believes. And this one has a lot of stories, so I'll probably revisit this one. This subreddit under our paranormal for a couple of these stories, because there's several that I've scanned that seem pretty interesting. So this one is from Informal Dingle 4613, and it starts off with, "I am so sorry if the formatting's crap. My phone is being obnoxious, and I'm trying this between customers. When I was in my early 20s, I had a group of friends that lived out in the middle of nowhere at the end of a very long gravel driveway with 2 separate gates. One right as you turn off the highway, then a hill, a bit of driveway, then a pretty decent shoulder, high second gate, and a slightly lower wooden fence halfway down. Thick as hell pine trees on either side up to about 20 feet from the house." So the country girl in me thinks that sounds very charming. But then also the realistic side of me just knows that has to be very creepy just to live out there and you just have all these gates and hills and trees and yeah, that sounds terrifying. And a gravel driveway just does it too. All right. OP says, "One night we were driving in, and by the luck of the draw, I got gate duty. I wouldn't normally mind it, since the standard procedure was the gate person opened the gate, the car drove through, the gate got closed, the gate person got back in the car, repeat at the next gate. But that night, the driver was pissed off about something, so he gunned it through the gate and continued up the hill." Oh, you said these are your friends? Ooh, okay. So they just left you at the first gate, and you got what? About 2.5 to go, and all these trees. Oh, that's not your friend. Okay. So I was alone in the dark on a very long gravel road, out of sight from the house, which, while not exactly terrifying, was not the greatest feeling. Yeah, those are words. That's accurate. So I lit a cigarette and started walking. I'm not sure the exact length of the road, but it took a bit of a walk. Plus, the gravel was deep enough to fold your ankle if you weren't careful. Okay, now you got to worry about getting twisted ankle and walk back in a dark, creepy, long driveway with gates. Even in broad daylight, So I was going a little bit slower than usual. Yeah, if you don't want to twist your ankle, you were in your 20s, so you made out of cartilage mostly anyway. If I do that, I just have lymphedema, and then it's never gonna go away because that's what actually happened to me in real life. And now I have a pig foot. Anyway, I'm not sure the exact. Sorry, I already read that. I got maybe 10 feet, and the night just went silent. It was already quiet out there since it was so far out of town, and there's big F-off pine trees. Yep, because that's the species, right? The F-ophius pineus. But you always hear bugs, bats, and the occasional coyote. The dogs at the house, the goats, and the horses. That was just gone. So you didn't hear none of that. Okay. Why? Why was everything quiet? I don't like that. Now I'm spooked. So I put out my cigarette and I pick up pace a bit. Yep. Going good for a bit until I stop to tie my boot and I hear a rock skitter onto the road about 5 feet behind me to the right. Weird. But I was right about the corral. So probably right by the corral. So one of the horses or the goats were drinking around and kicked the rock a bit. Normally I'd go over and rub their noses, but it was dark and I was tired and it was creepy and you were outside by yourself. So go in the house. I start walking again and pretty soon I start hearing something behind me and to the right of me in the grass at the side of the driveway walking. And I start swearing to myself because I'm figuring one of the animals got out and I'm hoping it was a dog. Because I'm not equipped to try to handle one of the horses or the piss-beard buck goat in the near dark. Cool. So I start jogging up the driveway so I can get to the house and let someone know they've got loose animals. And the something starts jogging with me. Okay, cool. I can maybe get the something to follow me up closer to the house, especially since it's sounding pretty big. So it's probably a horse. Then I get a bit worried because it's in the trees. So if it's running, it might run into a branch or trip and get hurt. And then I'd feel like an a-hole. Yeah, that's actually okay. So I stop and I make a come here. So the noise, trying to get it to come out of the driveway since I can at least grab some mane and lead it to the next gate. And I've been gone a while, so someone's got to come looking, and I can just let them know that there's a hole in the fence, the corral gate's open, whatever. Except the damn horse takes off running the other way, because that's what it would do. So do I, all while still making kissy noises and repeating the horse's names, trying to get whichever one it is to stop and get out to where I can at least see it. Before realizing that chasing a skittish prey animal down in the dark is probably a stupid plan, even if it's good intentioned. And I'm now within spitting distance of the first gate. I stopped myself, then started back to the driveway, getting even more pissed because I'm stuck in the dark playing chase me with the damn horse on what now feels like the longest gravel road in the middle of a bunch of giant pine trees because goddamn Miles got a GD hair up his ass and drove off to the house. Yeah, Miles. Why you leave your friend out there like that? Miles. Miles ain't your friend. Miles need to get an earful when you get back to the house and figure out what the hell's going on with stupid horses. And now that I've got to backtrack, I bet the second gate is also closed. And there's also no light there because of the trees on the hill. So I'm going to have to either fumble for the latch or climb it. And apparently no one is coming to see where the hell I am. And it's too damn quiet. So it's extra creepy. You are in just quite the conundrum, aren't you, friends? You got a lot going on there. I kick a rock to feel better, as one does. I throw a little prayer out to whatever deity protects stupid livestock that run around in trees in the dark and start back up the driveway. I get right about where I was when this all kicked off. And I start hearing heavy footsteps, half on and half off the gravel. Some bit behind me, so at least a horse is out of the trees and on the driveway. I turn around and see a big thing plodding around the first gate. What thing? What big thing? Why don't you know if it's a horse or not? Cool, Opie says. As I'm walking through, I start feeling like something isn't right. I turn my head and yep, big shape, still at the first gate, but now it's a bit closer and further out on the driveway and into the moonlight, and I'm really confused. It's skinnier in parts than a horse would normally be, and longer. When has just one horse got loose? If one goes, they all go. That's horse logic. Yep. Yeah, if you see a opening and your buddy just jutted out of it, common sense, and that, yeah, all the rest of the horses are probably going to get out too. And now it's starting to come up the drive. Just as my brain decides that's not one of their horses. Then what is it if it's not a horse? Just as my brain decides that's not one of their horses, its head pops up, and it's pretty clear that neck is definitely too long and thin, and so is its head. Oh, okay. And I've seen deer and horse eyeshine, and that isn't regular deer or horse eyeshine. Then what eyeshine is it? If it is not a deer or a horse, is it a giraffe? Because why is its neck long? Opie says, and now it's starting to come up the driveway. I've got some good distance on it, though, so I start jogging back up. You know what? One thing I will say about this OP is they're not about to stick around for foolishness, and I do like that because sometimes these stories, I'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you not moving? And he's moving, so that's good. Thumbs up. OP says they're glancing back every now and then to see this thing trotting along behind me, almost like a horse, but again, very much not quite. Part of me still swore it was just a horse. Just one that was sick. Sick with what? What would make something sick that its neck got long and its head got thin? Giraffe-itis? What? Baby, that ain't a horse, okay? What you thought the first time that's not a horse or a deer, that's what you stick with. Because don't ration. Because I feel like if you ration, you're going to stop running. And if you stop running, it's going to eat you. So whatever it is, it's not sick. I can tell you that. Opie says, which was why it looked and acted so weird. Nope. I finally made it to the hill, so now all I had to do was get up and over the hill. About 10 feet. About 10 feet to the second gate, and then I was halfway to the house. Halfway? How long is this driveway? Because you've been walking for 3 years. You done ran across I don't know. You've gone through 2 gates? And you're only halfway? This is for you. I hope you beat that. I don't condone violence, but I feel like you should at least get one good hit in and swing in on Miles. Like, the hands need to be thrown at this point, because why did he leave you like that? And didn't come back either. Like, just literally left you. Like, what did you do to piss him off? Actually, let's take that moment and ask, because you get mad at friends, but I'm not just gonna leave them in the middle of nowhere on my 45-mile driveway. I'm not. Yeah, I got questions about Miles. Anyway, Opie says up and over went fine. So he's getting over that second gate. He got to the second gate, and yep, it was closed. And the latch was GD finicky. Which, does that mean that Miles got out the car and closed the gate behind him, knowing that you were back there? That is so... I don't like Miles. Miles can go somewhere. All right. I turn my head and check where the something... I love it that you're just calling it the something, too. The something was. It was still an okay distance away. So I got a bit bold. I jumped up on the fence and sat down on it. You sat down on it, facing the driveway. The something trotted a second, then stopped and waited. Even put his head down like it was grazing, because it's hunting you. Sorry. Got a little aggressive. Oh, are you sitting there looking at it? And it's acting like it's playing hooky. At about that point, I started hearing my name being yelled. So I guess my friends finally figured out I still wasn't at the house yet, and came looking out. Yes, great. I'm glad that the people that you are referring to as friends, and so I decided to make sure that you didn't get eaten by something on that 42-mile driveway. All right, the something's head snapped up, then it took off running up over the hill, taking the silence with it. My friends found me at the fence and walked them through the night, but they swore all horses were present and accounted for in the barn. None were out that night, and the nearest neighbor had sold all his because he was selling his farm after his wife died, and he didn't want to stay there. Besides, there wasn't any way that a stray horse could have gotten past any of the property fencing, especially if it was as sick as it sounded. I finally told them I didn't think it was a horse, but they just kind of laughed at me and asked if I'd been munching on the mushrooms in the pasture. Yeah, hands thrown. Hands thrown. And you got jokes? Mm-mm. No, no. I don't like that. I don't like that, OP. To humor me, we all walked the fence lines, and yeah, nothing broken, no gates left open. Still not sure what it was, probably never will, and I wasn't terrified at all. But I did make good godly sure I sat in the middle, back seat from that night out, just in case. Yeah, girl, I would be in the trunk. I don't even want to see I don't need windows. No, matter of fact, I'm not coming. I'm moving. Like, oh, absolutely not. That's terrifying. Ugh. So here's a comment. Somebody commented. This is Chamrock Blarney Stone. Okay. That thing about the neighbor makes me think there's more to that story. That's a good point because, yeah, just like completely packing up the farm and not wanting to live there anymore. Why not? Neighbor friend. Uh-huh. And then they also check out the Mari Lyad, or horses from Celtic mythology. Any reason a Celt ghost horse might be around there? No, probably not, friend. I don't think I wouldn't think so. Are we in Ireland? What? Yeah. So, anyway, so that's story one. That makes me want to vomit. Because what was that? What do you think it was? No, like in the comments, please tell me what you think it was, because it's giving flesh pedestrian. It's giving skin keeper. If you know what I mean. We don't like to say those words around these parts because and I don't want no smoke. So yeah, it's giving that or something. Maybe even like El Chupacabra. No, because he said it was about the size of a horse, and that's about the size of a dog. So I don't know what this was. So very interested to see what your thoughts are. Tell me in the comments of wherever you are. Yeah, that was weird. All right, so I am going to move us on over to our next story. This one is a little bit sweeter. Gotta get palate cleanser. Still a little creepy, but it's a palate cleanser nonetheless. And this is from our Paranormal Encounters. And the title is, I Think I Was Made a Believer by a Dog Bowl. Okay. Hello. For some brief context, I have adamantly refused to accept anything as paranormal. I always say it's stage, strings, air pressure, etc. But today, I witnessed something I couldn't explain. I was over at my friend's house after hanging out for the day so she could feed her dogs. We came home. I sit at the dining room table. She puts the dog food in a metal bowl and sets it on a tile in the center of the kitchen. Her dog begins to eat, and she walks out of the kitchen and leans on the tall bar between the kitchen and the living room. We chat for a while she's holding her cat, and the dog had eventually wandered over to sit at my feet for a while. While we were chatting for about 20 minutes, we heard the metal bowl scraping the floor, like a dog was licking it clean. Not seeing her dog at my feet, she calls out to her dog, Honey, Honey, I don't think there's any food left. The scraping immediately stops. I speak up and say, "No, it's got to be Sophie. Honey's right here." Okay. Sophie is her dog, whom I forgot had passed somewhat recently. So then who was actually? Hmm. My friend goes a little quiet and reminds me of her passing, and I apologize profusely. But as I speak, we both realize her pets aren't in the kitchen, but they're next to us. So we both walk into the kitchen and find nothing. I kicked the bowl, looking to explain the sound as usual, guessing the dog probably kicked it on her way to me or something, but it didn't sound the same. What we heard sounded distinctly like a bowl being pushed around on concrete for several seconds, and it wouldn't suddenly stop without tapering off if it was kicked that hard either. Oh, I think Sophie came back from one more meal. It's kind of hard to explain this. My friend and I talked about it for a while, and she said that her mom had paranormal experiences in this house in the past. All I just had was this odd feeling. So, puppy ghost? I don't usually use Reddit, but I had to put this somewhere. That was definitely Sophie. Um I lost just my dream dog. He was oh my God, I loved him. His name was Delphi, and he just passed this August. And he was just the best dog ever. He was such a sweet baby and just the furriest, fluffiest thing. But yeah, he passed away. He got sick, and we got him back up to health. He had aspiration pneumonia, and he ended up staying in the hospital for 4 days. Came home, I fed him by hand. I cooked his food to get him back up to help, got his strength up, he was fine. And then he was good for several weeks, nothing was wrong. And he got sick again, and he had what was called, I think it's pleural effusion, where it's like liquid or fluid gets caught in between the lining of the lung and the chest cavity, and they couldn't figure out the cause, but they knew it wasn't because of a bacteria or virus. And so he ended up passing because we ended up having to put him to sleep because he was just miserable. He couldn't breathe, and they thought it might been cancer or heart failure. So by the time they figured it out, he would have been through the fluid draw procedure, which would have actually put his life in danger several times to do that. So we just had to make that decision. And so the next morning, because I just was in a state, I still, as you see, I'm struggling to even get it out right now. But that next morning, uh, my husband had come downstairs, and he was like, I heard him stand up in his crate, and his Delphi he was a chewer. So, like, all his toys had to be, like, pit bull toys because even though he was a Newfie Doodle, and so he chewed through things like a pit bull, and so that means bedding. So we had just sheets and blankets in his, crate on the bottom because we couldn't have, like, a dog bed in there because he would just rip out the cotton in it every single time. We went through like 4 beds. I tried even the Kong indestructible bed, tore it wide open. It lasted 2 days. So every time he stood up in his crate, because there wasn't like this big soft pillow in there, it had a very distinct sound of the plastic tray hitting the bottom of the metal crate. And so my husband said that when he went down that morning, he heard him stand up in the cage clear as day. And it's crazy because that morning I was in the bathroom upstairs. Now, mind you, Delphi in the morning time when he wanted to be let out, if we hadn't got downstairs on time, he'd start whimpering and say, "Hey," and he had his little, and you'd hear him. All right, let me run out there and let him out in the backyard. So I'm getting ready, washing my face, and I hear, clear as day. So if something makes noise outside, I usually don't hear it if I'm in my bathroom. So it sounded like he was right there. And even with him being downstairs, it would have been hard for me to hear him downstairs because our room is also in the back of the house. So yeah, I feel like Delphi visited me. right after he had passed away, just to one more, hey, I'm here, I'm around. And I felt like he sent me a bunch of yellow butterflies because he used to chase those in the backyard too. And yeah, so sorry for rambling on about my own little story about my boy. But I just this was a very touching story. And sometimes I believe our animals do come back, especially when you love them big. They come back to let you know, well, it's okay. I'm all right. I'm not in pain anymore. So that was a touching story. All right, enough of the soft stuff before I get crying on camera. It's only episode 2. We don't even know each other like that. Look at me. Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna roll on to the third story. This third story is under the Ask Reddit subreddit, and the title is "What is the scariest encounter with another human that you have ever experienced?" So we're going to talk about just some stuff that is, like I said, it's almost true crime, but not really. But it does give me a side eye when I did my first scan, because I did not love this, but it was a little creepy. So this is from Ray of Sunshine 121. And they read, my cousin, who was like 14, was babysitting us, a 9-year-old me, 4-year-old brother, and her dad called coming down from what I want to say, rock, a certain type of rock, or the brown stuff that, yeah. All right. I don't know, something real bad. He called and screamed at her to tell her or ask her where her piggy bank was. And she told him to F off and hung up. So she is sick of him already. He called back. She didn't pick up. And he left a voice message, which played as he was leaving. And it said, basically, he was going to come down there and effing schmurder us all. With a knife. He was going to come down there and effing kill us all. This is her dad. This is her dad. This is her dad. And she's only 14. My daughter is 14. Like, I could never, what? What in the world? So this man couldn't find a piggy bank, and he's about to take out a 14-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old. What in the world? Anyway, Opie says he was full of shit, but we were terrified, as one would be. Can you imagine the pure fear a 9-year-old feels when a grown man who sounds crazy says he's going to murder her with a knife? Yeah, that's a logical sentence. Yeah, you would be terrified, especially a 9-year-old. I'm not 9, and I'm terrified. So we prepared. That's right. That's right. I love me some little Home Alone kiddos. We prepared. We blocked out the windows. We locked everything. Put heavy furniture in front of the doors. My brother was asleep in his room. My cousin told me just leave him, but I couldn't stand the thought of him being alone in there, so I covert style belly crawled, heart beating out of my chest across the kitchen, through the living room to his room, scooped him up, and brought him back to my mom's room, which we then barricaded ourselves into. See, now these is babies, and those survival skills way, way, way up there. Yeah. Okay. That's what you do. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Maybe we should call police, but they might not have known that. They did the best they could. Good job, kids. I got no sleep that night. And my mom and my aunt came back the next morning like, what the F did you kids do? And I would have been like, and where were you while your crazy ex-husband is over here trying to take us out of this earth? Ma'am, don't you ask me what we did. But I was honestly just happy to be alive and that my mom was home again. The worst part of the whole thing is when she got home, her dad had sold all of her belongings. I mean, everything. Her bed, her dresser, TV, it was all gone. It was just an empty room. You know how, whoa. Like, I understand, look, drug addiction is a mental illness. Absolutely. But man, that is terrible to be that bad where you want to you sell your babies everything. They come back to an empty room. She's a kid. She's only 14. Where did you find time to sell a bed in a day? And a dresser and a TV? Where did you sell that? Also is my question, because that's a quick turnaround. But yeah, they sold everything. OP says he's clean now, but I still hate his effing guts. F you, Uncle Donald. You know what? Yeah. Yeah. Uncle D, you really you were not great. I'm glad you're clean though. I'm glad you're clean. All right. Just so let me see where we are at time. I guess I can give y'all one more. All right. So right under this one is another story. This is from NCDE 336. All right. When I was 15, I regularly was at home by myself since both my parents worked full time and my brother had moved away to college. Well, one day during the summer, I was just relaxing at home when all of a sudden someone knocks on the front door. I get up and check the peephole, and I see two guys standing in the driveway just off the porch. One of them wearing a suit, the other one wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, but facing away from the house, like he's playing lookout. I decide to ignore them because they'll go away, right? Wrong. Mm-mm-mm. They continue knocking, 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 but getting progressively louder and more aggressive. Finally, I decide to call the sheriff's department and ask for a non-emergency check since they're trespassing. My dumbass decides to yell through the door that I had called. And before I can even realize how dumb it is, the guy starts kicking the front door. I freak the F out. I run back towards the center of the house and realize there's a third guy trying to kick in the back door as well. At this point, I call 911 and start screaming about there's three guys trying to break into my house. Notoriously, it took the sheriff deputy longer to get there than anyone would imagine, and they see the guys walking down the road later. They stop to question them, but no arrest. What? There's a theme. Never mind. Police? Never mind. No, never mind. It's too early on. I ain't got no followers yet. Ooh, yeah, that's terrifying. That's all I got to say. I would have passed out. Yeah, I don't think I have a. Yeah, no, I would have passed out. Yeah, I would definitely passed out. Yeah, I would have passed out. All right, so Vapor Streak says under that post, the comment was, no arrest. What the hell? I have the same question because what you mean you saw them and you didn't arrest them? Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? What are you clocked in for? That's not what you were supposed to do. What is it? What's in the job description? I had a similar experience. Was also around 15 when three guys were crowbarring my front door, but they legged it when I yelled at them. Apparently, they initially thought there was no one home. It's still pretty scary. Yeah. So, and that's another point. They were 15. and the sheriff didn't think that, hey, maybe we should continue to make sure this 15-year-old sees 16 and pick up these three miscreants that are kicking in all orifices of their house. Since I'm in a patrol car with bars in it and I have handcuffs and I could do that. But you know what? Nah. I'm going to ask them a question, give them lunch or something, tell them go somewhere. It pissed me off. Anyway, that matter of fact, that made me so mad. I don't even want to read nothing else. Okay. That's the last story for the night because I'm mad. That pisses me off because that's not the first time I've read that exact same action. And I'm just really start questioning some things because what? Anyway, so thank you for hanging out with me. This is episode 2. I'm going to try to crank out as many of these as I can just for this first round, just so I can get some content out there so you can binge. And then I'll have a little bit more regular posting schedule, probably once every week or every other week. It just really depends how life does. And I have to just test this out. This is new for me. This is a passion project. I just have really started. I've been reading these stories anyway, so I decided to share them with you all. So this is a thing I'm doing for fun. But I do want us to create a community here. Maybe from there we can, go and travel together, or I can maybe go see you all where you are. Who knows? I don't know where this will go. But Thank you for sticking with me through 2 episodes, and, you can follow me for my new listeners. Hello, welcome. Like I said, you can follow me on pretty much all the socials at BTBV Podcast. If you have your own story, please, 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 please submit your stories. I really do wanna read your personal creepy encounters, whether they be with a ghost, some type of cryptid. Did you get abducted by aliens? Did you have a scary near miss encounter with somebody, a human on 2 legs that be walking around that just really unsettled you? Do you have a true crime story that you want me to elevate their story and get some more eyes on it? Tell me. And so send that to my email address at btbvpodcast@gmail.com. So that's btbvpodcast@gmail.com. Please like and subscribe. I have to get you to like these videos and subscribe to this channel. That's how I'm going to get seen by more people so we can actually build the community that I would like to build. So wherever you are, if you can click the follow button right now, like right now, I'm waiting. Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Okay, you did it. Okay, great. All right. So yeah, click that button, right? Or rate me 5 stars, please. Please don't. All right, 5 stars. If you write 5-star reviews, I'll read them off eventually once I get enough of those. And yeah, so that is today's episode. Thanks again, and I hope to see you on the next episode with some more creepy stories. And if you, let's see, what weird thing can I ask you to do? If you see a horse that looks like a giraffe walking down a 42-mile driveway, run, okay? And then go fight your friend because they left you. All right, do that. All right, so goodbye. Stay creepy. Be real. Be kind. And if you can't be real or kind, I don't know what to tell you. I don't got the words. All right, bye. See ya.